All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, while we're away for spring break, we're crunched for time, so I'm going to have you do a little bit with the next market structure we're going to look at. So we talked about perfect competition, we talked about monopolies. Now I want to talk about oligopolies. Think about back to the candy activity, and hopefully you remember when we had the group with the Jolly Ranchers. If you're in 3A, I know you remember London. And in 4B, I can't remember who the backstabber was, but if you remember, in that group, somebody always kind of came along and stuck it to the other group members. In 3A, that was London, who every time the group made an agreement, he came in with a lower price. And one of the things we look at is how these oligopolies make decisions. There is a graph for an oligopoly. However, the AP test doesn't really have the graph on normally. What they test you on is what's called a duopoly chart. I'm about to show you how it works. If you remember, the number of firms in oligopoly, anybody? Was few. Well, the fewest you can have would be 2, and the simplest would be if you had 2 firms, 2 people. And so that's what I'm going to show you here. And we look at how they make their decisions. I'm going to show you on the video how to do this and read the chart, and then you have a worksheet to practice over break. So it should help us save a little time and give us more review, which is good for you. All right, so if you take a look here, I've got a big grid here, and outside of that grid I've got Jack and I've got Jill. Jack and Jill, of course, they like to fetch pails of water. So they got 2 decisions here. They're going to be business owners, and they both have the same decisions to make. To make this simple, they're going to both decide whether they're going to go out and buy a pump to pump their water, or whether they're going to go no pump. Say, no, I'm not going to buy a pump. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the dollar values of their profit here. And I'm going to show you how to read this chart. So I cheated a little bit because I wanted to explain that and kind of show you how I build this chart in. There are 2 ways the chart can show up. I'm going to show you the first way here, and then I'm going to make a second video. So let's imagine that Jill chooses no pump, just for a second. If Jill chooses no pump, there are only 2 options here, or 2 boxes that we're going to look at. We're going to look here or here, because down on the bottom, Jill is choosing to buy the pump in this box and this box. So we're going to start in this one right here. Notice, when we're in this box, Jill is choosing to go without the pump. Ask yourself, what's Jack doing? He's going without the pump too. So if they both choose this, I'm going to put 2 numbers in the box. The first number is going to be $2. And then after a little comma, I'm going to go $4. And on the test, they'll have to tell you how they're going to line it up. But for the most part, I don't think I've ever seen it not be the case. The first number goes with what's over on the left. So a little trick to kind of help you not mess this up when you read it, either underline it or put a box around it, and do the same for whoever's over here. Okay? So Jill, if she chooses to go no pump, and Jack chooses to go no pump, is going to make $2. Whereas Jack is going to make $4. You with me? I hope so. So I'm going to fill these in here. So I'm going to go like this. Okay? So now I've got my payoff matrix is what this thing is called, filled in. And I'm going to circle or put a square around every one of the first numbers. Because I know that these are whose numbers now? They're going to be Jill's. And so I want you to take a second. And I want you to see if you can figure out which box in the grid here I want you to look at. If Jill chooses to buy a pump and Jack chooses to buy a pump, which box will I be in if they both choose to buy a pump? Think for a second. Think for a second. Okay? It's going to be this box right here. Jill will make $2. Jack will make $4. So this is how the matrix sets up. See if you can figure out here. How much will Jack make if he chooses to go no pump and Jill chooses to buy the pump? How much will Jack make if he chooses no pump and Jill chooses to buy the pump? Well, if Jack goes no pump, he's on this side. You don't even look over here. You ignore that. Jill's buying the pump, so I got to be down in this box right here. So the correct answer would have been 3. All right. Take a second, look over this chart. I'm going to come back with a second video here. If you have questions, make sure you let me know, please, okay?